Shalom, shalom and welcome. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah. I decided to present this message under the series of end time realities. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah. My brothers and sisters, there are so many things that we tend to avoid that we will discover cannot be avoided or taken for granted any longer. And that is end time realities. What's the realities of what is written in the scriptures that are made alive before us? What are the things we should expect? It appears that many individuals who more so want to get subscribers or attention or grow a camp or community or group or fellowship like to say all the things that sounds good, that comforts us, that make us feel good. We tend to avoid realities that bring about some severities, that require some sincere prayer and seeking. And one of those things that we tend to avoid is the reality that we all will face a position that will put us in one of these three categories. The categories of this message is martyrs, survivors, and others. Let's look at some realities regarding this, my brothers and sisters. It's time to begin to face what's unfolding before our very eyes. There are many realities we will face. Let us examine this subject that is often ignored but necessary. Pray about the teachings going forth. Ask yourself and others, how often do we see teachings about preparing for physical death? It would be wise to establish a ready mind, body, and soul for major changes that are ahead, my brothers and sisters. Whether young or old, we will fall in one of these categories: martyrs, survivors, or others. End time prophecies include information that 2/3 of the population will face physical death. Consider Zechariah 13:8, my brothers and sisters. And it shall be throughout all the soil, declares Yahuah, that 2/3 therein are cut off and die, and 1/3 is left therein. These are the survivors. Have we given thought? This refers to saved and unsaved individuals. Many people believe that when it talks about those surviving, it's just set apart Yahusha. But we must understand that the plan of Yahuah goes forward in a way that affects the saved and the unsaved. How we perceive, how we receive his plan will differ. Our perceptions will differ. For we know that we who are set apart, the end game, so to speak, it's not a game, but the end result will be everlasting life with Yahusha HaMashiach, Yahusha our sovereign, the word of Yahuah. Consider what Matthew 5:43 and 44 states. It is written, you heard that it was said, you should love your enemy, your neighbor, and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those cursing you, do good to those hating you, and pray for those insulting you and persecuting you. Now, my brothers and sisters, when it says, love your enemies, Yahuah loves us, and he do what is best. We must consider that in that love comes favor, and it comes death. It comes the removal of wickedness and the embrace of set apartness. So don't take that love to think it's just talking about warm fuzzy. It's doing what is best to preserve life and set apartness. And it goes on to read, verse 45, so that you become sons of your Father in the heavens, because he makes his sun rise on the wicked and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. Meaning that some unrighteous will be survivors Now, does that mean they will have everlasting life? No. Not at all, my brothers and sisters. Not at all. Remember, to the unsaved, everlasting damnation awaits. To the set-apart ones, come, everlasting. We will sleep until resurrection time. There's an exception. The 144,000 great multitude mentioned in Revelation 7th chapter will be alive and transformed at the return of Yahusha, the physical return of Yahushua HaMashiach. We must keep in mind what is written and not set it aside nor ignore it, but discern the life in it. Consider Matthew 16th chapter, verse 24 and 25. For it reads, Then Yahusha said to his taught ones, If anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it. And whoever loses his life for my sake shall find it. We must understand the dynamics in the life of these instructions. Take a look at Matthew 24, 4 through 6. My brothers and sisters. Matthew chapter 24, 4 through 6. I'm reading the scripture version of Esau. 24, 4 through 6. And Yahusha answered, said to them, Take heed that no one leads you astray. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. And you shall begin to hear of fightings and reports of fighting. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place. How many teachers, how many mores, how many pastors are presenting instructions to gird up and prepare for being martyrs for Yahusha's sake, to gird up and prepare to witness many deaths, much destruction? What we are to do to be strengthened and understand that the realities of end times are unfolding. It goes on to say in Matthew 24, 7 through 9, For nation shall rise up against nation, reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food and deadly diseases and earthquakes in places. And all these are the beginning of birth pains. Are we really being prepared to strengthen ourselves, to be strong in spirit and face the realities of what's coming? Then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. What encouragement is going forth to those who will be killed for Yahusha's name? Are we praying for them? Do we believe we could be one of those killed for Yahusha's name? Consider Matthew 24, 10 through 12, and it goes on to say, And then many shall stumble. They shall deliver up one another and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise up and lead many astray. And because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. Are we preparing for such conditions? It goes on, 13 and 14 verse. I'm in the 24th chapter still of Matthew. It said, But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. What end is it talking about? It could be the end of my life, your life. You see, we die at different times, my brothers and sisters. Our end, as far as what we know it in these earthen vessels, will be at different times. It's saying, This good news of the reign shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end shall come. Seek to discern, understand, and accept. Death comes at different times for each of us. There will be those among us who will be survivors until transformation at Yahusha's physical return. My brothers and sisters, martyrs, the scriptures don't leave us without some examples, without some things to consider. Remember Yahuah, commonly known as John? He was a martyr. Come with me to Matthew 14th chapter, verses 8 through 9, beginning. And she, being urged on by her mother, said, Give me here the head of Yahuah, John, the immerser, on a dish. This is John, known as John the Baptist, or the Immerser by some. And he goes on to say, and the sovereign was sad, but because of the oath and the guest, he commanded it to be given. And he goes on to say, verses 14 through 12. I'm in the 14th chapter of Matthew, 10 through 12. And sent and beheaded Yahuah in prison. And his head was brought on a dish and given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. And his taught ones came and took away the body and buried it, and went and reported it to Yahusha. John was a martyr for Yahusha's name. Let us not forget Stephen. If you are unaware, come with me, Yasharal. Come with me to chapter 7 of Acts. Acts chapter 7, verse 54 and 55. It begins with writings that say, in hearing this, they were cut to the hearts and gnash the teeth at him. But he, he's talking about Stephen, being filled with the set-apart spirit, looked steadily into heaven and saw the esteem of the Almighty One and Yahusha standing at the right hand of the Almighty One. And it goes on to say in 56 through 58, 7th chapter of Acts. And he said, look, I see the heaven open and the Son of Adam standing at the right hand of the Almighty One. And crying out with a loud voice, they stopped their ears and rushed upon him with one mind. The people didn't want to hear what Stephen had to say. They threw him out of the city and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their garments at the feet of the young man named Shaul. My brothers and sisters, it's time to discover how to be strong in the face of death. Witnessing others die, or we ourselves facing death. Bear with me a second, my brothers and sisters. Bear with me a second. Okay, let's pick up here. I feel like I'm missing a slide. I might come to it. But if you read that whole story about Stephen, you will see he called out and asked the Almighty Father to forgive them. How many teachings, how many discussions are going forth for us to be strengthened, to strengthen our mind, body, and soul, and prepare for martyrdom, or to witness a brother or sister die for Yahusha's sake, killed for Yahusha's sake. We must have these discussions. We can be strong as Stephen and John. We must always remember this is the Almighty. I see that's a typo. I'm going to fix that too. My brothers and sisters, I know we all want things quick. Mistakes happen. They occur. And I thank you for your patience if you're staying with me. And I ask your forgiveness. Okay, we must always remember this is the Almighty Yahuah's plan. Bear with me a second, my brothers and sisters. And I use a green screen. So I wanted to update it. This is the Almighty Yahuwah's plan. Trust and believe his desires will be done. Let us be mindful of Yahusha. There were martyrs in the past. There will be martyrs now and in the future. Keep in mind Malachi 3:6 says, "For I am Yahuah, I shall not change, and you, O sons of Yaakov, shall not come to an end." We are not exempt from being martyrs. Some of us are not exempt from being survivors. It will be ordered. And there are others who will die a different death. It may not be a martyr. It might be because of unbelief, for various other reasons, and for reasons that the Almighty Father would have taken us home, so to speak, or taken us to that place of rest until resurrection day. Let us not ignore there will be those among us who will face physical death from various circumstances. These fit into the other category, my brothers and sisters. Remember, there will be a final exodus to fulfill what is promised. There will be survivors. How do you think we will have the 144,000 in great multitude mentioned in Revelation 7th chapter if it's not survivors? I know it's easy to say what we would do, but the truth of the matter will prove, my brothers and sisters, we need to believe, trust, and embrace what is ahead with all fervency. Pain and regrets, sadness, disappointment, but there will be those who will shout hallelujah as we walk in the flow of Yahuwah's plan out of being obedient to his living directions and guidance. Yahusha, to you, my brothers and sisters, end times are here, and some will witness martyrs, survivors, and others that will face death in other ways, by other means. Let us, all of us, pray to receive the strength to go through what awaits us. Have discussions, pray about strengthening our minds, bodies, straightening our perception and expectations, girding up, O Yahusha, with the strength and power and might that the Almighty Father will give us to face end time conditions. Rise up, my brothers and sisters, whether we fit into martyrs, survivors, or others category. Our redemption comes, and it will not tarry. If you listen to this from beginning to end, my brother, my sister, my family, trying times are ahead. We underestimate the power of the Almighty Father, but he will strengthen us to persevere. He will guide us. He will direct us. He will raise up chosen leaders. We will learn to yield to his spirit, being magnified in us one towards another and through the chosen leaders. This is real. It's not a game. Have the discussion. There are times we're going to have to walk away. Not let our curiosity watch a brother or sister be killed as a martyr. There are times as survivors we can't keep looking back. We have to focus forward because there's much work ahead of us. Do not think because you survive or we survive one destruction or one catastrophe that it's done. It's an ongoing work, ongoing actions. And we will receive instructions by he who is the Almighty One. Rise up and believe and trust and be encouraged. If you listen to this from beginning to end, I salute you for pursuing set-apart instructions that may strengthen you or another. There's much more to present for Yahusha. Share, like, subscribe. Some might say, he just want to get subscribers and stuff. That's your choice. But let us realize that the Almighty Father opened the mouth of a donkey. Let us realize that the Almighty Father has presented in scriptures that if necessary, the stones will cry out. Let us not disregard this mechanism may indeed be one to allow set-apart words to move across the face of the earth. You may have received this message to pass on to another. You be the judge. I thank you for listening. I thank you for your pursuit of set-apartness. I thank you for taking your very valuable time and listening to this message. I pray for you, for me, for us, Yahuah, that we grow in discerning the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha, and we walk with the strength of set-apartness that is laid before us. On that note, I say to you, my brother, my sister, my family,